Okay, so you have just watched my videos about the remainder theorem. Now we have the factor theorem. It's based on the same principle, as in if for this example we plug in 2 into the polynomial, if it doesn't give us a remainder, as in if the remainder is 0, then it means x minus 2 is a factor. That's the factor theorem. So for any linear relation, such as ax plus b, where a and b are any constants, if we plug in minus b on a, as in let this be 0, then with the polynomial spits out a 0 as the remainder, then ax plus b is a factor. So this is a factor if when you plug it in, it gives 0. I'll show you what I mean with this example. So it says show that x minus 2 is a factor of this polynomial and hence find the other linear factors. So it doesn't say that I have to do it via division, so I can use the remainder or the factor theorem. So I'll just put in the 2 into the polynomial, which equals to 0. 16 minus 20 plus 2 ends up giving 0. So because the remainder is 0, then we can say, therefore, x minus 2 is a factor of which we have let be px. Okay? So if x minus 2 is a factor of it, then we can divide it. And once we divide it, well, you should get something like x squared something something, which we can factorize. So now we're going to answer the second part of the question where it says, hence find the other linear factors. I can see 2 methods. My first one is just to try and guess some numbers that'll give me another 0. So if I go try 1, sub in x equals 1, then I'll get 2 times 1 cubed minus 5 times 1 squared plus 1 plus 2. And that gives, I think that one works, 2 minus 5 plus 1 plus 2, which is 0. So, by chance, it means that x minus 1 is also a factor. So we've got this and this, right? And then you just need one more factor because you know that there's x cubed, so I should have 3 x's in brackets right next to each other. Instead of using this guess and check method, the alternative is for you to actually go and use the long division. So let me just rubble this out. So x minus 2 right, you're going to do long division. So you can speed up the video here if you want, but I'm just going to do it step by step again just to refresh your memory. X goes into this 2x squared times. Right. If you minus it, then it becomes a plus. Bring the x down. X goes into minus x squared minus x times. Because you're minusing it, it becomes minus x. Bring the 2 down. And then x goes into minus x minus 1 times. So, right. So, after you have done that, it means that now 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus x plus 2 can be expressed as x minus 2 times by 2x squared minus x minus 1. As in this times this will give you this, right? Because essentially you just did that, divide that equals that. And then you might recognize this as a binomial. So we can actually factorize that. You can use the cross method, the L method. I'm going to use the L method. So I go 2 numbers at times to give minus 2 and add to minus 1. And using the L method, we know that there are no 2 numbers at times to minus 2 and add to minus 1. So from here, we can use the quadratic formula where we're trying to find the two factors of this, as in we're trying to split this into another two brackets. So if we use the quadratic formula, we have minus b or some of you might be thinking we can use complete the square. Now, if I were in class with you now, I would probably show you both methods, but I think you actually need a bit more practice with using the quadratic formula because it is actually a really, really important and useful formula. So I'm going to use this one, okay? We have that's A, that's B, and that's C. They're the coefficients, as in the numbers in front of the x's that go into here. So x equals to minus b, which is 1, because minus -1 is positive 1, b squared minus 4, c over 2a. Okay, so x equals 1 plus root 5 over 4. Then it means in the brackets, let me just show you the two answers. X equals 1 minus root 5 on 4. Okay, so if you move this whole thing to this side, you would get x minus this whole thing, and the plus becomes a minus. And the same over here. Whoops. X minus 1 plus root 5 over 4. Right? So this will be in brackets. So that equals 0 and that equals 0 because you've moved the whole thing over. Then you get the polynomial. Now, okay, I think that is as hard as it gets, okay? For this question, most of the time, the ones that we ask you will simply have a solution using the L method or cross method or whatever from here, okay? It will be very rare for you to have to go through all of this in order to get the other two roots or two solutions to this. But I guess now that I've gone through such a complicated, or not complicated, but long solution, you should be okay to do the exercise.